Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode. Today we are covering Skyrim Graphic Overhaul Part 2. So I am a big fan of Skyrim Graphic Overhaul Part 1, as I guess it's called. And so when I got a tip off on my comment section about Part 2 coming out, I had to go and cover it immediately. And that tip off came from Garfunkel Shechelstein. Thanks for letting me know about this mod, Garfunkel. So basically, you can see my load order there. I've got Skyrim Graphic Overhaul at the bottom of my graphics mods list. So this is, if you can see the Sounds of Skyrim, it's the very bottom of my load order, and I've got a lighting mod just above that, but the graphics mod in order from bottom to top go Skyrim Graphic Overhaul Part 2, then SGO Part 1, Skyland, and then any other graphic mods you've got after that. So anyone worrying about load order, just put SGO Part 2 below SGO Part 1, and I'd recommend that you have those two as your last two graphic mods. So that being said, we're going to jump straight in. So SGO Part 1 dealt more with smaller details. Part 2 seems to do the bigger details, but it's got a few smaller ones which we're going to look at here. And the first one is candles. So the candles go from a normal white wax candle to a red wax candle. And I quite like that change. It seems very small and insignificant, but I really like it. You might have noticed that the wall and floor textures changed there as well, and that is because there is quite a big change to Riften in this mod. The whole of Riften has been reskinned, so we go from normal Riften to retextured Riften, and it is the whole of Riften that has been changed. Some of them are just small subtle details which we'll look at in a moment, but the whole outside of Riften seems to have got a nice sprucing up, so all the floors and wall textures and that have changed. Now it is down to you guys if you feel a change is for the better, because I do feel that Riften has got quite a nice bit of character, but as you see here, it looks a bit cleaner, and that may not fit in well with you guys if you like your Riften to look run down and dirty, because it is where the Thieves Guild make their home after all. And the Thieves Guild itself does get a retexture, so again, are you going to feel that the changes for the better? So we've got the standard, well, I say standard, I am running all my usual graphic mods with this. So I've got Skyland and SGO Part 1 running, although I have taken the city's retexture off, and there you can see it's been retextured. The roof now has a cobblestone pattern on it. You can see like the mortar in between the individual blocks. The ragged flagon also has a retexture. So there we go, before and after. So again, they both look nice, and it's really going to be down to you if you feel that the new retexture is better or worse with or without the mod. Like I said, we have got multiple graphic mods running here. If you keep up with the channel, you'll know what the graphic load order is. I also showed at the beginning of the vid, and this is the quarters, and as you can see, you've got nice smooth blocks in the background there. It does look a lot nicer than the standard one, I feel. Well, again, we can't necessarily say it's the standard one, the before one. Now this is Mistfield Keep. Again, looks really nice as it is, but the retexture does change the walls and the floor. Personally, I think the floor was nicer before. It was a bit brighter, had a bit more colour in it, but I do like those new cobblestone walls. They do make the whole place look a lot more, organised and a bit more refined, which you'd expect from a Jarl's Keep. This is the B and Barb, I think it's called. And so the floor, the pillars, the logs on the walls, and I think even the ceiling has been retextured again to look a bit smoother, a bit nicer, a bit cleaner. We're going to go and have a look at some of the smaller details now. So these sconces, the goat horn sconces, do undergo a little bit of a change, and as you can see, they look a bit more realistic now. And there's also a nice little bit of bloom. I feel that kind of looks like the light is shining through the sconce rather than just being like a light texture over it. It also says that it retextures trees. It doesn't say which trees it retextures. I didn't spot any, but that obviously doesn't mean that there aren't any that have been retextured. I just grabbed this footage here just in case there was some minor change I wasn't spotting, maybe on the leaves, because the trunks do look the same to me. I have got Lush Overhaul running, but that shouldn't change anything. That just doubles the amount of branches on the trees. It doesn't retexture the trees or anything like that. One of the other things that it changes is sacks and chests. Now, I didn't capture any footage of the chests because I'm running the static mesh improvement mod, and I didn't want to remove that mod, so I've just got the sacks here. Because one of the things that I do try and do on this channel is help you guys build a mod portfolio, as it were. So each mod that I cover can be added in to the rest of the mods that I've covered. So I haven't captured any of the chest footage just because, as I said, we want to keep the static mesh improvement mod running alongside this mod as well. So there is no change in the chest, but here we've got the ward. So as you can see, it goes from like a blue magical effect to a more subtle one. Again, it's up to you if you think that's a better change. I quite like the blue one, but it's no, by any means, it's not a step back. So I very rarely use wards. I'm a shield guy, so that isn't gonna bother me. But one of the other bigger changes in the mod is the caves have had a retexture. And there we've got a grittier look and texture over the rocks, a bit more diverse in the contrast and the colours that are in it. Again, I think this is quite a nice change. This is one I really like. It does add a nice, really like gritty feel to the caves. And anything that makes, the caves look even darker and danker, but still makes them look nice, is welcome in my book. I'm all about immersion. So there again, you can see the rock walls now have a bit more, as I said, variety in the patterns and the colours that are on them. On the whole, it is a positive change in my book. And we've just got another shot here, showing the wall textures up a bit closer and the ones in the distance, so you can see how it looks on the whole. And there you go. So all in all, the cave retexture is a positive in my book. Really like those textures on those cave walls. As I said, these are some of the bigger changes that SGO brings in SGO Part 2 brings in compared to Part 1. But there are a few smaller details which we're going to go back to now. The signs outside shops and taverns have had a little bit of a reworking. So there you go. Again, I think that it's no better, it's no worse, it's just different. I don't mind them at all. They seem a little bit more colourful now, a little bit more worn. And here we have a Spriggan. Some of the things that have been retextured are the characters, textures on some of the enemies, namely the Vampire Lord and Atronachs and those type of things. But I've only got a couple of them here to show you. So the Spriggan has got a bit more, the texture looks a bit rougher in the sense that the wood itself seems to maybe have a bit more bark on it than the previous texture. I don't mean rougher in that it's a step down. And the Dwarven enemies have also been retextured. I captured two of them here, so we got a Dwemosphere. There you can see a bit more contrast on the wheels and a little bit more detail overall on the actual character model itself. And the other one is the Centurion. Now, I really did not want to go diving into a Dwarven dungeon just to get a picture of a Centurion, so I was cheeky and just got this one in Markarth. and if you blinked you might have missed the transition. It is a bit difficult from this distance to take in all the details that are added in, but we can see there's some contrast changes. It's a bit dark, a bit more orange in the brass on the legs and the chest. But that's it, guys. From the description, there's very little that I did miss. Like I said, there's changes to the Vampire Lord, which I can't get at the moment because I'm nowhere near that in the Dawnguard quest line. And the Storm Atronachs, I don't have the ability to summon one at the moment, and I could not figure out where to find one. But there is very little I didn't cover. Tavern clothes, that's one that I just couldn't find. I did go into the taverns and I captured footage of the people working in the taverns, and I really couldn't see no difference between the before and after. So I'm assuming that is the actual character model clothes that you can get for the player themselves. What else is there? The lens flare, there wasn't really much of a lens flare. When I first loaded up this mod for the first time, it was foggy weather. I'm using vivid weather, and there was a really weird graphical artifact where like the skybox was leaving like a black shadow behind itself. But as soon as I fast travelled, that went away. I did go, when I was travelling about getting this footage, I did actually encounter some more foggy weather, and there really wasn't any graphical glitches that I could see. So maybe that was just when it was loaded up for the first time, there was a minor glitch there or something, but just letting you know to watch out for that just in case. I'll just show you the load order one more time. As I said, I've got SGO Part 2 right below SGO Part 1, and they are the last of the graphics mods that I am running, and they should be at the bottom of your load order. I know I've got 2 more below it there. That's just because they both say that they do need to go to the bottom of the list. I am going to try moving them up soon and see how the game runs with them moved up. But as you guys will probably know from my understanding load order vid and recommended mods vid, that your graphics mods do go at the bottom of the load order. So the other 2 mods that I've got there that I'm not going to do videos on, I'll just talk about them briefly while I'm here. You got that Clara Lux. Basically that just redoes a lot of lighting in the game. It adds in the lampposts of Skyrim mod and supposedly reworks the lighting in cities, and that I haven't personally noticed any major difference, but I haven't done a comparison. But I'm liking it for the time being. There's no problems with that at all as far as I can see. The Sounds of Skyrim one, it's one that I can recommend. It's not really big enough for me to do a video on it. It basically adds more atmospheric and immersion sounds to dungeons. So if you go into a dungeon or a cave, you might hear distant banging. You'll hear Draugr screaming, if moaning in the background if there's Draugrs in there. If there's vampires, you might hear screaming. So it is really cool. I'm digging that one at the moment. Supposedly that is a part 1 of a 3-part mod that's coming out. There's going to be one for cities to add nighttime effects like cats fighting and dogs barking and stuff like that at night. Not too sure what the 3rd mod is going to be on. It does say that they're out now. I can't find them. The only one I can find is the dungeon one, Sounds of Skyrim dungeon. But I would go out and I'd give that one a go because it is a very cool mod. And it does say on the Nexus page, the developer says that if you are not starting a new game, that it needs to go to the bottom of the load order for some reason. I don't know why, but it hasn't caused any problems in my game. So like I said, I probably will try being cheeky and moving those 2 up above my graphics mods. But if you just want to play it safe, you can put them at the bottom there and it should work perfectly fine. As I said, I probably am going to do a quick graphics mod video, just showing you all the graphics mods that I have acquired. We've now got a new edition, SGO Part 2, so I'm happy I haven't done it yet, because I was going to do it yesterday. And it will show off how to get your game looking great. You've probably seen most of them if you follow this channel already, but I think I am going to do that regardless. So thanks for watching, guys, and I shall see you next time.